everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. I'm sitting here trying to fix some of these websites. Seems like they always get messed with. The links in them will get messed with. They won't work. Pictures don't load because the links are messed with. Well, what can you do when you're parking a car on the government's parking lot, right? They always have access to your car. And that's basically what they do. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat room. A little distracted here right now. Wow. So a couple things I've been talking to him with the past couple days. And interestingly enough, because it's not an area I always deal with, I don't think anybody does. You have to be in that kind of mindset and world to want to deal with it. And if you're a real human, it makes no sense to you. You can't really grasp what other people are talking about because it makes absolutely no sense to you because you have no experience whatsoever with what they're talking about, and so you disregard it. And, for the most part, that's keeping things sane, keeping things at a sanity level for yourself because there's so much info to digest. But when you're in my position, a prophet of the Most High, mouthpiece, ambassador, you have to deal with everybody and everything. And, a lot has been thrown at me. And some of it I just have no interest in getting involved with. I'll expose it for what it is. But I don't get involved with all the nuances and details because, I know it all for what it is. And so I'm not going to plunge all my time into it. But let me reveal some of this to you, what I'm talking about. Now, we have something that they call SSP, and that's Secret Space Programs. And a lot of this gets wrapped up into the New Age world. People think, that's New Age. A lot of these people involved with the space programs are not New Agers per se. We just group them over there with that because to us, New Age is one huge term for hogwash. You can just sweep it under the carpet of hogwash, and to the basic person, that's what it is. And so that's just where it goes, over into the corner, under the rug. But the reason I'm even going to talk about it is because so many people are getting soul scalped and replaced that so many weirdos are walking amongst us. And people have no idea who these weirdos are anymore. I'm hearing from relatives of celebrities, what happened to so-and-so, he's not the same anymore. He doesn't come near his friends anymore. He doesn't talk to his family. And I've been hearing about this for a long time from various people. And it's basically because when a person gets soul scalped by an alien entity, that entity wants nothing to do with that person's life on Earth, former life, their family, their lovers, their kids, their friends. They're taking over the body to play that person, but they don't necessarily have to deal with every detail of that person's life. And so what they do is alienate themselves so they can create their own world of life with that body, that person's body, and particularly their money. They're usually after the money. It's usually the rich people and people with money that get soul scalped because the alien entities want the high life. They want the money. And they certainly don't want giving any of it away to that other person's family and friends and stuff. They're just taking over the body, taking over the life. But secret space programs, you'll hear a lot about it. Project Camelot comes to mind. The whole realm of super soldiers comes to mind. Those who are cloned, dealing with cloning centers and clones, that comes to mind. It's all kind of interconnected together. But people involved, then the Air Force has a division within it called Space Command, and we always knew it as having their headquarters, I think it was down in Tampa, Florida, Space Command. But they have recently built a huge facility in the mountains of Utah because they want to come out with their own branch separate of the military as a Space Command. And they want to be separate from the military, but I guess I can't. I guess I should explain. Congress wants them to be an arm of the military, and they don't want that. They want to be their own group, their own branch away from the military. And so there's kind of some hassling going on with who's going to control it, who's going to be in charge of it. Kind of late now since you already have a huge facility in Utah, right? Probably the northern mountains of Utah. I've been up that way. They had the Olympics up that way years ago in Utah. All those facilities, those are huge mountains up there in the north, and I think that's just all part of the Rocky Mountain chain. The Rocky Mountains, and you'll hear a lot of people. I know David Wilcox spends a lot of time. And so a lot of these super soldiers spending a lot of time coming in, revealing projects and who has what UFO, and it always seems like the Navy and Air Force and Army are fighting over technology and who has what and who's doing what and who's building what, and that's what I don't get involved in. I don't get involved with any of that stuff, and I'm not going to spend a lot of my time on my shows dealing with it. Because if you look at it, who runs the space program? Who runs NASA? Who runs the military? It's the reptilians. Who runs our government? The reptilians. Who runs Congress? The reptilians. And so the reptilians, particularly in America, are always going to be in charge of America because their tentacles are everywhere. Who are the reptilians? They're the snakes. They're Lucifer's faction. America was set up to be Lucifer's country, his great end-time power nation, and that's exactly what it's become. But it's been taken over along the way by these reptilians who, at one time, were angels. See, none of them at this point in time even know who they came from because Satan has given them false histories. And so they throw all this stuff out about Enki and Enlil and all this garbage. And you know it's false histories. He's given them all a false history of who and what they are and where they came from. None of them even know their original origins. That their grandparents, because I don't know how long a reptile actually survives. Lucifer's immortal, but doesn't mean all of them, the rest of them are. They were original angels in heaven who joined Lucifer in his fall and rebellion against heaven. And when they came to earth, and Lucifer was corrupting the Garden of Eden through Lilith and then Eve, he was cursed to be a reptile. And so all of those with him were cursed to be reptiles as well. And so that's who this whole reptilian branch is. They were once angels aligned with Lucifer in his rebellion against heaven. And so over the centuries, over the years, these reptiles have offspring, and they have offspring, and they have offspring. And so what they did was develop a false sense of history of where they come from in space or whatever. I mean, it's just all lies. That's what he does. He develops a whole lie chain of histories, and nobody knows who they are. So reptiles are directly involved with Lucifer's rebellion against heaven. They were the angels that were with Lucifer when he fell. And so what we deal with now is all their offspring, because they were all cursed to be reptiles, snakes. That was part of their judgment, part of their curse. They lost their angelic looks. It also affected their DNA because they produced reptile children. So these are the ones in control of NASA, of what we think we know about space and what we don't. They keep the truth away from us. And they are taking over the Space Command. Because humans think they're making such monumental leaps into space technology because of the technology they get from these aliens, different factions of aliens they work with. And there are many different factions of groups of aliens. They're not just one world. There are many different countries divided up. I'll say it so you can explain it. There's many different nations of them within a world, so to speak. And we just call them factions instead of nations. The tall whites are involved with this. The tall whites are the ones who can relate to humans the most, because the tall whites were part of Enoch's rebellion. They are the offspring of the angels who fell, the 200 angels who met on Mount Hermon and agreed to leave heaven and come to earth to procreate with human women. You can read about the Enoch's rebellion, what we call the Enoch's rebellion, the Watcher rebellion, in the book of Enoch. He describes it. And so they did not lose. They lost their angelic powers, but they didn't lose their angelic looks. So they look very tall and they look very humanoid, because they were at one time also angels in heaven. And so they can relate to humans the most because they look like them the most. If you saw a reptile, you'd be scared crapless. They're ugly. They stink. And so that's why technology seems to take such leaps and bounds, because the humans on our planet, this planet, are working with different various of these alien groups all over the place. The Navy has a group they work with. The Army has a group they work with. The Army typically works with the reptilians. The Air Force typically works with tall whites. The Navy, we have our own Navy, separate apart from the military Navy. All of these factions have their own militaries within them. You know, they even have their own submarines that they use, airplanes, space posts. There are what you call outposts throughout space. And folks, they can't go that much high out of our atmosphere around the Earth. The space station is about 18 miles above Earth. They're not going much higher than that, because then they hit the Van Allen radiation belts, the Kuiper belt, they hit all that stuff. They can use wormholes through that. And so I don't always discount that they can go deep space if they can get out there with alien technology, because they can come into Earth. So obviously there is a way out of Earth. I know that there's portals that aliens can use to access Earth if they can get through the portals. And so I'm sure humans have gotten out through alien technology, not our technology. And so this is why they need aliens and aliens need humans, because aliens, all these different nations and groups and factions of aliens, want their foothold on Earth. They want to control Earth. Earth is the prized planet in the galaxy. It is the prized planet. But for us, it's not so good, because to them, we're their food source. We're the prized planet of food. And also minerals. They like the minerals on Earth. Gold, silver, copper, whatever it is they mine. And so Earth is a treasure. And so all these aliens, former fallen angel offsprings, fight for control of Earth. And they do it through the humans and the militaries and the governments. They have the Illuminati bloodlines on Earth, which is all reptilian run. The Illuminati is the reptilian nation. You have the tall gray nation that's standing up as the eighth regime, taking over the world through Gesera and Nasera and all their bribes and lies, revamping the world's economy. They've been fighting with the reptilians for control. And all of the people in the military who work with these aliens, consider it just like something like the CIA. Because all of these black projects, what we call black projects, super secret projects, hidden away black military, they call it, because it's hidden away, it's kept secret. They only use hybrid humans. So it's very selective in who gets to be involved with it. They don't just take John the Christian sitting in a church and let him work in a black project or in the black military. They consider your bloodlines, your genealogy. Most of them are hybrids, half human, half alien, and those are the ones who are chosen for these programs. Just like the CIA, they call it the family because it's all considered bloodline. You have to have alien bloodline to get in the CIA, to be a long-standing family member of the CIA. They call it the family because it's bloodline, just like the Illuminati. They're all alien bloodlines, Rh negative. It's all bloodline related. You know, even the mob, the Italian mob, you hear them screaming, oh, you're not real blood, you're not real Italian. It's Illuminati bloodline. Even that is run by Illuminati bloodlines. All of these things around us, surrounding us, are serpent seed bloodlines. We're dominated and controlled every direction by the serpent seed. Humans, hybrids, are being created everywhere. They take pregnant women out of their beds at night and insert alien DNA into the fetuses of the babies they're carrying. That's why so many normal-looking people are having these really outrageously smart kids, because they're triple-digit IQs. They're not double-digit like most mankind. They're triple-digit. They're extremely smart. It's because of their bloodlines. It's because of the DNA, the alien DNA within them. They're not fully human. They're half human, half alien. And so that's why they get picked up and picked off for these projects. They're the ones who will be working in space programs and military programs that are cut off from the rest of the public. A lot of them are chosen and groomed as children. They've learned to go into these other realms of the fifth dimension. And when they're in the fifth dimensional realms, because there's different realms within the dimension, as children, they will come into contact with angels. They're protected by angels if need be. And so you'll hear a lot of them. They'll start to describe angels they see. They'll give them names. Some of it's a lot of truth mixed with lies, put it that way. Because there's a lot of them out there that'll start saying, oh, this is Archangel so-and-so and Archangel so-and-so, and they all have their own setup where they have mimics of the real archangels. And so, especially the New Agers, they have all their own demigods set up as archangels, and they're not the real archangels. But you can't tell them that. They won't listen to you. They have their mockeries and their mimics. I've talked about the reptilian counts, the Libyans, the white lizards under the Libyan desert. And this was depicted in Star Wars, where they had this galactic council and all these ambassadors from different alien factions and races and nations. In this huge council area, they depicted it in Star Wars. That's actually a real place. That was a lot of truth mixed in with some fiction to make it dramatic and entertaining. But it was a lot of truth. It was a lot of truth. And it's buried, I think that's the Gobi Desert in Libya. And these white lizards have been seen in NORAD in Colorado. These, what we call the white lizards, these white reptilians, are the elders of the entire alien extraterrestrial races. They're the oldest that have survived all this time. They actually were the ones who fell with Lucifer, and why they've stayed alive all this time, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if they're the originals. I believe they are, but what do I know at this point? I've never talked to one, although they get mad at the stuff I reveal and I hear about it. They do have videos, and they always threaten to release those. And someday they will. Someday they will. There is videos from time immemorial, from Adam and Eve. They have kept videos. The Black Knight satellite, one of theirs that they used to record mankind, record things on Earth. It was used as a babysitting tool because Lucifer's home system used to be Orion. It used to be called, here his angel name was Halayan. It used to be called Halayan because his angel name was Halael. And so he took over a star system. They created it. They named it. It was the Halayan Galaxy, and then it became known as the Orion constellation. And so that's where all of the original reptilians were when he fell and rebelled from heaven. They were kicked out of heaven. They went to what we know as Orion. And the three stars in the gates are portals, and they would portal and get access into the Middle East. They set up over in Iraq by the Persian, what we know as the Persian Gulf area, Mesopotamia, and they would go over to the Garden of Eden to harass them over there. And so that's how all that setup began. And they built underground. They always have. The Galactic Council underneath the Libyan desert is what, they're all ambassadors from all the different alien nations, and they meet under there and try to keep somewhat control and semblance of the universe. And so every different terrestrial alien faction has an ambassador there, just like our world has the UN. Where do you think all that came from? That came from that. They mirror things. And because heaven has a council. You know, Satan doesn't do anything original. Heaven has a council with different beings that are very in rank dominant over the other angels, and they run and rule things through councils in heaven. And that's how it is. And Lucifer adapted the same mythology, and that's how they do things in the alien realm, and that's how they do things on the earthly realm. We have the UN, we have NATO, we have the G8, the G20, different types of groups, because that's the way everything is set up. That's the way heaven's set up. That's the way Lucifer is set up, and that's the way the earth is set up. Everybody copies heaven. Nothing original, folks. Nothing new under the sun. And so, anyway, I just bring this up because, all of this is coming out to play in the last days. The tall whites are not your friends. The tall whites' ultimate goal is to destroy humans, just like now, the ones we deal with now. Because all the good tall whites and the ones who didn't want to harm humans, who didn't want anything to do with harming Earth, they're gone. They were redeemed back to the Father. And any kind of terrestrial being we're dealing with now are all owned and bought by Lucifer. He owns them all. They're all his. They're all on his side. They just play different factions. They want to destroy you. They want to eat you. They all eat you. And this is all going to come out to play. And so many people are getting buying their lives hook, line, and sinker that, the tall whites want to protect mankind. They're going to get on their ships and be taken off the earth before the time of cleansing, which we know is the pole shift. And they think they're going to be kept safe. And folks, you're going to be killed and put in freezers for food, your food storage. It's not just the reptilians who hate you. It's all of them. They all hate humans. They all want to destroy us. So that's just a rundown. I may be getting into that more later, next week. I don't know. I know we got pole shift I'm watching. And I'll be talking about that more next time. As I have stuff to reveal, I'll reveal it. Be back on Monday night, folks. Till then, God bless.